Alrighty. So
Cool.
are we all
Are
ready?
we ready? Yeah.
Good to
Okay,
go.
let's do it. Excellent.
Okay.
3, we all clap
We do a
together. Okay, 3, 2.
Yay! Well, hello, friends. As you know, Christine and I co-hosted CHFA Launchpad Toronto back in September. This is where we met our guest on the podcast, Steve Thorp, just before he was about to go onto the Launchpad stage. He was helping us pronounce NHA, nano-hydroxyapatite. Clearly, it's still in there.
Still good.
Yeah. His brand before was the very first pitch to a panel of esteemed industry judges. Steve Thorp, welcome to the show. Steve is the co-founder of Before, a custom dentist-approved formula made with clean ingredients and packaged in a 100% recyclable plant-based tube. Steve, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Incredible.
Amazing. Well, I'm just going to kick it off with the very first question to start. Can you share a little bit about yourself, your passions, your background, your journey into this space? What drew you into this space, Steve?
Amazing. So I've been around starting businesses and entrepreneurship since I was 19. I won't bore you with too long of a conversation in it because I know we want to get to the new company, but I started my career in action sports. I was there for about 8 years. It was incredible, just passion-led and so much fun. Met a ton of my really close friends there. And then I pivoted into a marketing agency that I co-founded and ran for a couple of years that really broke me into kind of my passions for brand and design and marketing. And then from there, I had a really random pivot into hospitality. And a couple good friends of ours in Vancouver, we started a few restaurants and a beer brand and a wine brand and a distribution company. And it kind of really went wild. And I was there for about 7 years. And then, pre-COVID, just was looking for a new chapter of my life and wanted to kind of move into something a little more wellness. And my wife and I are quite healthy and healthy lifestyle. And so I wanted to be back in a product-based business and something really interesting, little design edge to it and disruption. So that led me kind of into this sphere of oral care and toothpaste and personal care. And we started Before.
Gosh, incredible. Like what a journey. What a wild journey. You mentioned action sports. Yeah, I've got more questions around that too.
I know.
To hospitality, to starting a wellness brand, focusing on oral care, which is amazing. I'm obsessed with oral health. Working in the food industry, like completely obsessed. So, working in the food industry where you're constantly tasting products, I'm always thinking about how do I protect my teeth? How do I protect my oral microbiome? Because that's a thing too. How on the oral health side, what was the seed that had been planted to dive into this space?
Yeah, great question. And I didn't answer your first question about passions. And it was, I have a real passion for disrupting industries and looking at a product category and doing it a little bit different, whether it's design, ingredients, production, business, whatever it is. And I always saw oral care as a category that was quite boring, pharmaceutical led, and just wasn't that interesting. There was just never really a toothpaste that I really wanted to use. It was always a product that I just had to use. And it was something that you kind of knew was important, but you just kind of always used the same product, did the same thing. And I thought it could be much more exciting and on multiple levels. So I think, and I had the idea for many, many years. I actually had the idea for the oral care brand back when we had our marketing agency. This is 10 plus years ago. And over the year, tried to launch it a few different times while in hospitality and it just wasn't the right timing. I was too busy. And so when I finally came back to it, I was really surprised that actually there wasn't that many new brands in the market doing anything on the ingredient side. And we'll get to that. Or on the brand side, it was still kind of the same. There were a few kind of rising young brands that were doing interesting things, but nothing that was at the level that I wanted to do yet. So we entered the category and really from the outset, we understood exactly what we wanted to do with before, like from the very, very beginning.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I've got more questions, but go ahead, Laura.
No, I know you first. I have many questions too.
Cool. Okay. You mentioned ingredients.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, thinking about the natural health food space, that we're in, but then also thinking about the natural product space, very
Yeah.
intentionally designed products as we're looking at the ingredient statement. So, like, what inspired this combination of special ingredients?
Yeah. So, looking deep into the industry, we knew that it's dominated by the big players, Crest, Colgate, other products out there, and they're really full of a ton of toxic ingredients. Yes, they might, protect your enamel with an ingredient like fluoride or something like potassium nitrate for sensitivity with Sensodyne. But the bulk of the formula deck was parabens, dyes, fake ingredients, fakes, fake flavoring, just lots of disrupting products to the mouth health and to your overall body health. So that was like, an obvious one right off the bat. And there's a bunch of natural toothpaste in the market, but what we found when we dove in and started doing focus groups and ourselves and our partnership group testing, dozens and dozens and dozens of products is that when you moved over to the natural side, you often weren't impressed by the formulation. So whether it was like too runny or it didn't taste great or it didn't foam properly. So the overall performance and mouthfeel of the product wasn't great. And what we found was that people would want to switch from a traditional paste like a Colgate over to the natural. But if it didn't taste great or have good mouthfeel, their intentions were there from an ingredient standpoint, but they would usually migrate back to like the traditional space. So we knew that we needed to formulate something that was taste incredible, had good foaming, had great mouthfeel, had good rinsability, had all these things that people are really looking for. The part that it's like working in the background, nobody really understands. There isn't like a 1-to-1 ratio with that. So, you have to really trust that your oral care is doing what it's supposed to do, and your dentist will give you some insight into that. And maybe there's a few other indications, but really it's about the taste and the mouthfeel and really like, how gratified are you by brushing your teeth and how excited are you by the toothpaste? That really gives you the green light to say, wow, I really love this toothpaste. And so there wasn't really anything in the natural space that really excited us from a usability standpoint. So we knew that that was just like a huge opportunity right there, is to make something that, was a little more approachable in terms of flavor and mouthfeel and everything. So you could really pull people over the natural side, but then had all the backup with like, the best ingredients and incredible taste. And then the other one, which we'll get into, but which was huge for us and a massive opportunity, was the packaging, both on a design standpoint, but more importantly, on a sustainability standpoint. Nobody in the paste format was doing anything on sustainability. All of the tubes that have ever been produced in oral care are still sitting in a landfill somewhere. None of them are recycled. They all go to landfill, and they're all made from petroleum or aluminum or a combination of both. So they're all in landfill. And we just, a core value of ours from the Pacific Northwest is sustainability. And we said we'd never launch before unless we could do it in a more sustainable product and package. So that was a big challenge for the brand, but we got there in the end.
I love it, Steve. You talk about what I really love talking about is from concept to commercialization and all those hurdles and challenges. You mentioned focus groups, understanding what your guardrails are, starting with that brief, like a marketing, that agency approach, right? And really understanding those pain points. What I'm curious about, because from a formulator or from a commercialization point of view, you take it from this sort of guidelines of formulas and what you want and the nice to haves and the wants to haves.
Yeah.
But then you take it to a manufacturer. And I'm sure, with a category that's so big, dominated by big players, there's not many manufacturers that you could probably go into.
No.
So I'm curious from that commercialization point of view, how did you approach it? What was different? What was the sort of challenges or breakthroughs that you've achieved when you were going through this commercialization process?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think it's probably one of the biggest challenges for any entrepreneur in the CPG space or food space or wherever it is, personal care, is not only just dialing in what you want to do conceptually into a formulation at like a lab level, which is one very big challenge, but then it's commercializing it or scaling it up into production and finding a good partner. And it's extremely challenging, especially as you like get into a tighter and tighter category like oral care. There's only a very small handful of manufacturers globally that are in the industry. And, you can produce oral care over at a manufacturer that maybe specializes in more personal care products, but then will specialize in oral care, and they're really not the best at it. There is some crossover there. But for us, I really wanted to find a manufacturer that specializes in oral care because that was going to be the tip of our spear. I didn't want to necessarily come out of the gate with, deodorant and body wash and all these things. Like I wanted to be an oral care specific brand and do it very, very well so that when people use before, they become obsessed with it. And it's like, they're like, okay, I've checked that box. This is like my go-to toothpaste now or mouthwash or whatever other products we do. But in oral care, it's like my go-to products. I think that the real challenges in that, I think number one is stay in the lab level until you absolutely nail your product, which something I've learned over the years in manufacturing other products is don't jump too early into production. Now I know there's lots of caveats to that. Cash flow, financing, time. There's a ton of pressure when you're in those early stages, but if you can stay there a bit longer and do a few more iterations and get it to like the 95 percentile, not the 80 percentile, you just have so much more success later on. And a few reasons. Number one is it's extremely hard to go back and change your formula once you're in commercialization. You can do it, but it's just very, very challenging. You've got registrations, you've got approvals, you've got packaging printed, and you've got products now through systems where you've registered your ingredients. And it's just very, very hard to go back. And we've had a few of those challenges even ourselves, even though we know that we need to nail it out the gate. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's something we did very, very well actually for the entire brand is we really got our formulas to a great spot. And it took us, we thought it would take about a year. It ended up taking almost 2 years before we got the product to market. But we just were relentless on the mouthfeel, on the flavor, on the foaming, and every ingredient in our product reacts a little different to the other ingredients. So you increase one and something changes in the performance, and then you increase another one and it changes it again. And so we just kept tweaking, and we had a great lab partner that was really, really believed in our vision and the brand and what we wanted to do in the market. So after coming out of that, then I already had my eyes on a manufacturer that I wanted to work with. And again, being a small brand, you kind of have to woo them. You kind of have to, you got to go in there with like big bright eyes and excitement and pitch exactly what you want to do with the brand and where you want to take it and get them excited because, we all know being a small fish in a big pond going in, you got to earn your spot there. So it all starts with getting them excited about the brand and the potential and then, making sure that manufacturer is somebody that you can grow with, that you can adapt with, that you can pivot with, that it's going to work with you. A lot of products in CPG aren't owning their manufacturing or starting a manufacturing plant out the gate. So you're co-packing with somebody. So you really have to make sure that they're a strong partner. And then as you grow, that will likely change, hopefully in a good way, but you might scale out of them into a bigger manufacturer. You might have an invested partner come in that has other manufacturing. You might scale into a different country and need new manufacturing. So there's lots of ways that might adapt. But in the beginning, it's really critical to just make sure you get out the gate with the product that you really believe in and that you love.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. All these important tips and tricks, and it's really important to make sure that the formula works. And we see that on the food side too. You guys were so kind to send us a whole range of pastes. So I've got here
Yes.
cinnamon orange. I have lemon coconut, and I also have a super mint. Laura, what flavors do you have going over there?
Mine is all mint, but they are different. So this is the whitening, the blue one that I'm holding up.
Yeah.
I am holding up a sensitive one.
Yeah.
Also mint flavor, because I
Oh,
love mint.
I love mint too. Yeah.
And the last one is just classic. It's classic.
Nice.
It's green, so it might like go
Love
into my
it.
skin here. But I love it. I've been testing the whitening one. I think like maybe
There we
30
go.
days
There we
now.
go.
And
Yeah.
you're right. It's all about the foaming, the texture,
Yeah.
the rinsability, and really all those characteristics are what a person would look for on a toothpaste.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm curious because like some of these flavor profiles are unique, right? Like you don't typically see them in toothpaste format. Like, the
Yes.
cinnamon orange, I was like, oh my gosh, this actually feels festive. So how did you guys decide on the flavor profiles? What would resonate with consumers? Like what was your process to decide on those profiles? And how many do you have? Because I see something else in the back. So I'm not sure how many
No,
you have.
you pretty much nailed it. So we have our super mint flavor, which was, talking back to the original formulas and a lot of the work in the lab, we really nailed that formula first. So it's a combination of 3 different all natural mint oils. We don't use any quote unquote natural flavors or flavor houses. They're all real flavoring. And there's also menthol derived from mint. And it's just like a really punchy, literally a super mint. We wanted to have like a very minty toothpaste. So that's like our OG formula. It spans across all 3 families of toothpaste that we have. So we have a family of anti-cavity fluoride product, which is unique for a brand like us being in the natural space. We can chat about that if you want. Then we have our fluoride-free collection, which is like a classic baseline fluoride-free product that's over in Whole Foods. And then we have our nano-hydroxyapatite product, which...
Oh, there we go. There's that word.
Yeah, there's that word again. So
we're going to spell it out on the screen, actually, so everyone can see it.
So we have all 3 families of products. So our super mint is in each family. And then when we landed Whole Foods, which was a super fun process, I was literally just like calling and emailing and sending product to the buyer in Canada until finally I got this like email back one day, the classic, every entrepreneur CPG dream email of like, this is the best toothpaste I've ever tried. I want to work with you. So that started the process with Whole Foods, and they really wanted our fluoride-free product. And at the time that was in development, we didn't quite have it yet. And so they really asked for a couple of exciting products to be beside our super mint. And so I actually went into the lab myself and just started formulating. And when you get into the area of using all real flavoring ingredients, it actually narrows it down quite a bit. If you go to like the flavoring houses, you have an endless amount of flavors. You can have bubble gum and you can have licorice. You can have kind of whatever you want. But when you get into like real natural oils derived and zests and spices, number one, it's a little bit more delicate to formulate because they can be very potent or off-putting sometimes when you put them in certain ingredients. I just started playing with what was available to get like a really clean ingredient deck, and lemon is one that works very, very well. We also already have coconut oil in our paste. We use it, one of the derivatives of coconut oil for all of our foaming. So we already have it there readily available. So we just added a little bit more to get a little more flavor. So the lemon coconut actually came together pretty quick, and it was a really fun, bright, summery flavor. It's super interesting. And it also works really great for kids because it's not too spicy. So we actually do off the side market that towards kids. Cool. And then the cinnamon orange, actually cinnamon is one of the top alternative flavor selling toothpaste other than mint out there. So I knew that cinnamon was going to be a good one. It's also a great one to formulate with. It's a great flavor. And I didn't want it to be like a cinnamon heart, kind of cinnamon bomb flavor profile. So we added orange and we added ginger and clove. And clove is actually really good for mouth health. It's also very soothing for gums if you have sensitivity. So it's a great natural ingredient. So the cinnamon orange is actually one of my favorite pastes that we've made. And we're actually moving that now over into our NHA collection because it's a really popular flavor. So that one will start to move across our line as well. And that's been a really hot item for us with Whole Foods.
Nice. Well, I'm so curious, in your exploration, were there any flavor fails that were like, whoa, this just does not work?
There's vanilla is one. Oh my God, vanilla just doesn't work. Anything down that realm, it's very potent. Anything where you go into like floral anything in oral care, it doesn't work. You really have to stay on like citrus, a little bit of spice. And then at the end of the day, like 90+%, don't actually know the stat, but it's up there just based on retail knowledge, is sold in mint. Mint is like the driving force in anything oral care from toothpaste to mouthwash. So we really stay in that category. And we actually have a new product coming out in next year. It's going to launch in Q1, which is called Mellow Mint. So it's a more like spearmint focused product for people that don't want such like a heavy, super powerful mint flavor. So that's an exciting one that's coming out as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think the one thing you talked about, the P, the product, right? And the other favorite P of mine is packaging. It's super unique. I think that's what really stands out about your brand. It just looks so beautiful on the countertop. Yeah. Could you walk us through sort of like your approach to designing packaging? I mean, I think you come from a creative background. So what are some of those value or pain points that you wanted to address during your design choices of packaging?
Yeah. Great question. So I think for us, we really saw a big opportunity in designing a product that was a little more intentionally designed, something that started to weave itself over to beauty and wellness and wasn't so pharmaceutical led. Oral care has always just been a category kind of on its own, and it's a product that people aren't necessarily proud to put on their shelf. They shove it in a drawer. The cap doesn't necessarily go on properly. It doesn't stand proud. It lays flat. So they, throw it under their sink, and they just don't want it visually in the collection of all these amazing products they have on their counter, which they're really proud of. And subconscious, you're looking at all these beautiful products on your counter and you get really excited about them. You want to use them more. You want to talk about them more. And so we wanted to be in that conversation of products. And in order to do that, you really need to design something that people really love to look at and fits their aesthetic. And that was just really natural for us anyway, because we love really well-designed products and brands. So we were going to bring that into our product. And we had to find something that really, still could be oral care and toothpaste, but could also be a beautifully designed wellness product. And I think we found a really good balance of information. And I know you're holding up the tube, but, the boxes, they really do have a lot of information on them, really educate the consumer. Everything's really well laid out. We use a lot of like embossing techniques. We have both a horizontal and a vertical. In Canada, we do bilingual packaging. So we do have packaging in the US and Canada. Now, everything in this has been years and years of meticulous like tweaking and adjusting and getting feedback from retailers and feedback from customers and really finding something that balances really well design and typography and education into the product. And I think we found a really fantastic balance now with the product and how it sits and how it displays itself and all the information. So we're super proud of the brand and the design, and the brand has really worked from the outset. That was all thanks to my business partner, Jamie. He really nailed the brand vision and the name. And it's really before everything you do, you self-care, and before everything you do, you take care of yourself, and before everything you do, you brush your teeth. And it really, once we really tell people about the brand and the brand name, they really get it very quickly. We've had a lot of success with the brand identity, the brand mission, and everything from the outset. And we haven't really had to adjust that at all. Again, that comes from combined 30 plus years of marketing and design and building brands. So we really had like a very intentional vision for the product, but it's really worked well so far.
That's great. I love that whole stand proud piece, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it just has that visual of what else do you put on your countertop that you don't have to, hide away, right? You want that to be present and people to ask about it, right? Because it's we all use these products hopefully every single day, multiple times
Yes.
a day, right? So what we choose truly matters because, of course, there are habits and our consistency and what that means over time. You know, it's kind of wild because we're rounding out, we're 2025 or moving into 2026. What are you most excited for coming up in the year ahead?
Well, I'm really excited for the company, the brand, the products, everything. We're kind of in a big year coming up in 2026. We're opening our biggest retailer, which is Sprouts in the US.
Oh, great.
Ooh,
Congratulations.
So
That's awesome.
congrats.
we've had a ton of success in Canada so far with Whole Foods and a ton of other independents. And we've really put our head down on a strategy for the US. And we're in a lot of great independents there as well, but it's time to step up into some larger natural. So Sprouts, and then we're talking to and about to go through review with Whole Foods US. So we're
Nice.
hopeful there and a lot of other great grocery partners. So it's time to get the brand out there a little bit more. Very excited for it. The company's ready, production ready. Very exciting. We're also launching a new product in mouthwash, which has been in development for a long time now. Again, going back to development, once you're in the business and operating, it becomes a lot harder to do R&D and development, but it's a big part of our company. So in the background, we're always developing new products, but mouthwash has been right at the top of the list for a long time. And we finally nailed the formulation and the packaging, and we're super excited about it. We partnered with a company out of the UK called Shellworks, and they actually produce a home compostable bottle that is 100% bio-based. And
Oh.
I think we're going to be the first in oral care in mouthwash in North America. I'm almost positive, but it's beautiful. I don't have any physical visuals for you yet, but in Q1 we're launching that product, and it's super exciting. It's a great product.
How I think we sort of touched about it on the box side, but even on the tube side in terms
Yeah.
of the sustainability and that kind of component on packaging. Could you share a little bit about that? Like what makes this different from what is out there on the toothpaste space?
Yeah, so we're the only product right now in North America. I know there's a couple other small brands globally, but the entire tube is made of sugarcane. So it's 100%
Super cool.
renewable organic material. Now it's a lot more expensive than petroleum plastic, and it's why you don't see a lot of it. And I think as more brands like us push into this marketplace, I think that hopefully the scale will go up and the cost will come down, and more brands will move into it. But like I said, for us, it was a no-brainer. So most toothpaste tubes out there are petroleum-based plastic, but a lot of them have an interior aluminum lining. So it goes plastic, plastic, aluminum, plastic, plastic, and then it's bonded together. And those multi-material tubes go straight to landfill. And a lot of the single material tubes, like the single aluminum or the single petroleum plastic, also all go to landfill, and they just sit there for thousands of years. So with our material, it is a medium density organic plant-based material, so we can't quote unquote market it as biodegradable. But this will break down naturally over time, a very short period of time compared to petroleum plastic, but it's also an organic material. So it's not going to harm the earth the same way. But also the bigger thing, and we all know being in this industry, there's a ton of waste, and the downstream cycle is very hard to navigate, and it's different
Totally.
state by state, province by province, country by country. So there's not a lot we can do there. We can advocate for people to do certain things with their products, clean them, recycle them, look for great brands like TerraCycle to work with. But it's really at the end of the day on the manufacturing side, and that's where we have more control. So we have a choice to go into a product like this, a plant-based product. It costs more money. It's harder to do. There's sometimes maybe not stability testing in a certain country or region. You have to go through that process to get it onto shelf. But it's the right thing to do for our planet. Just at manufacturing alone, there's more than a 50% reduction in in CO2 emissions on production. But then as you go through the whole cycle of, producing virgin petroleum plastic, or even going through PCR and recycled plastic, which is a little bit of a greenwashed industry because a lot of it is mixed with virgin, but it also is very energy intensive to recycle plastics and move them into new plastics. Obviously, it's something we want to do because we don't want them to go to landfill, but it's very energy intensive. Where this is, coming from a crop that's very readily available. It's a very, very bountiful crop. There's lots of it. It's very fast renewable. It produces a great product. The touch and feel of it is fantastic. It has like almost a natural matte feeling to it. It's just, it's all around. It's just a really great product for this application. So we're super proud of it. I hope more brands move into it as we grow.
Thanks for walking us through. I think we see these products all the time. Not like this in particular, but it's something that's part of our daily use. So I think, and we're using it constantly, right? And that accumulation at the landfill level, it's quite intense. So if we can offset that, and way to be for really intentionally designing with sustainability in mind, and not moving forward until that was checked off internally. And I'm sure you guys are constantly looking at other ways as well. So really, really cool. Oh my goodness, I think we're getting into the point of the conversation. You've had such an incredible career, and I'm sure there's so much on the go. In your journey, is there anyone you'd like to shout out to or give thanks who's helped you along the way?
Yeah, I've done this a few times and given other people thanks, and because of the space I'm in right now, and the person, I'll give him a shout out. He's a great friend, incredible Vancouver entrepreneur, but Ryan Holmes has been, again, close friend, mentor, investor, friend of mine for years. Really look up to, and very inspiring man. And actually, I'm in a space right now called North House, which is a co-working space that they started through LOI, which is their incubator investment arm, which a ton of young entrepreneurs have gone through. Very successful for the city. So yeah, give a shout out to Ryan. Great guy.
Beautiful. That's great.
Thank you
for sharing. Well, Roslani put a shout out on the notes to LOI and Ryan Holmes and all the work that he's been doing, because I've heard really good things about that accelerator space for young entrepreneurs. I think it's great.
So cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are towards the end of our episode, the last two favorite questions. So this is where we have a previous guest. I had a question for not knowing who the next guest is. So this question is, Steve, what has been the most scrappiest thing you've done as an entrepreneur?
Man.
Love this question.
Yeah, that's a crazy question because I have done so much scrappy stuff in my career. I'm really a believer of like keeping companies lean, and I like to operate that way. And I love just street level guerrilla marketing, like doing anything you can to promote your brand and thinking outside the box. And I love like our team members to think that way. And it really has to stem from founders down. I've done some wild stuff. So one of my favorite like kind of grassroots thing is back in the day, we had a great beer brand called Postmark. And I've really wanted to get the word out about the brand when we first launched. So I produced these like really fun artist driven stickers. And I found it really expensive to like hire companies to sticker the city. So I would go out myself at night, and I did it for weeks. I would go out for hours at night and like sticker the whole city.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it was like exhausting, but I started getting people like sharing photos of it, and like
so cool.
It was almost like a little bit of adrenaline. I would see like a post or something, like, because I was putting them in like really strange places where stickers you don't usually see on like great ground and like really high up places. I was getting into weird places and putting them in, and it was just a ton of fun. And it ended up being like a really successful like little marketing stunt that we did in the beginning, but I did it all myself at night. People were like, what company do you use to sticker those things? And I'm like, I'm not telling you it's a secret. Excuse me.
Now I'll be on the lookout. I'm sure those stickers are still there all around
Probably. They're all
Vancouver.
worn down.
That's amazing.
I love being scrappy and thinking outside the box. We still do it with before. Every single day, we're trying to think of new ways to market the brand and stay scrappy and pack things ourselves and do what we can. And so it's a great mindset for any young entrepreneur to have.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I love that. It's just, taking that and like it's that infusion of adrenaline and just making it fun. Like to have a business obviously can be, it's challenging. So why not have fun moving this forward in a really creative way? So thank you for that. And that question came in from Melissa. She's co-founder of Vegan beverage, Vancouver-based entrepreneur as well. We'll shout out to her in the show notes too. So thanks for that. Okay, so it is your turn. What is the question that you like to leave for the next guest, not knowing who they are?
I love to bring somebody's personality in and share a place that has really inspired them in their current business. So I love exploring new cultures, people, friends, traveling. I think it's really great for our brains. And especially as entrepreneurs, we are just so busy every single day. So to give yourself a little break and experience something, I think is really key to staying motivated and staying inspired. So let's find out what has inspired them in their business.
Oh, I love it.
That's so good.
So good.
What's one of the top places that has inspired you?
So many. I always love going back to Europe and almost anywhere. I love the speed of it. I love the culture. I love everything. Everything's very intentionally manufactured and made. And there's little pockets that I've been to that I love, and my wife and I both kind of flow in the same direction there. But I really love just exploring anywhere, to be honest. I find inspiration in almost every place that we go, whether close or far. But again, I think it's super healthy for young entrepreneurs to also take a little break sometimes and recharge the batteries and keep themselves fresh and motivated.
Thank you for sharing.
Words of wisdom.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
Steve, before we wrap up, we would like to share with our audience. You mentioned Whole Foods, Sprouts next year. How else can they find out about you or even get a hold of your products if they're in Canada outside of Whole Foods? Any other stores, perhaps in Vancouver, that we can shout out to?
Yeah, absolutely. Some great, independent and small shops. So if you're on Main Street, Welks is a fantastic customer.
Awesome.
We love working with them. There's a little shop called Federal Store that's around the corner that's also a fantastic shop. If you want like a longer list of accounts, we do have an account locator on our website.
Oh, great.
beforecompany.com. Check us out there. Hit us on social media. We can get back to you with, if you're in a certain town in Canada, we can let you know if there's a retailer close by. You can order direct from our site. We're definitely around, and and if we're not in your favorite store, then poke your head in and ask for a product, because that's the best way to get it in.
Absolutely.
It definitely is. Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a gift. We are so grateful for our time together. Thank you for walking through. There's so many more questions. Perhaps we have an extended version of this episode later on, but thank you for sharing, your vision, your journey, and all the best. And as you embark on 2026, no doubt it's going to be an adventure ahead. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This has been really fun.
Thanks.